Hello again, cartoon car lovers and people that 3D print stuff. I've mentioned this channel, I think, twice before now. He's in my subscription. It's Dendeba 3D model, and he puts up free files for you to download of realistic-looking cars and cartooned versions as well. I like the cartooned ones myself, of course. It's becoming at least half of my channel now. But I downloaded two files off of his, playlists. The first of which is a Pontiac Solstice. I don't know what makes him choose such subjects, but it was a pretty cool looking car, I think, right? And then one cannot go wrong with the modern Ferrari Testarossa. So, yeah, if you're into 3D printing, or, 3D printing resin printers, they're like $300 now, maybe less now, so you can print something as nice as this. My printer is only like $300. So let's take a look here. Let's start with the Solstice. So this file here he has is the wheels and the chassis and the seats are all one piece. In fact, let me open it up for you. I have no affiliation with this Dendeba. I've never spoken to him or anything like that. He probably has no clue that I do videos on this stuff because he doesn't speak English and I don't speak Japanese. But anyways, he has a two-part file for this guy, and just trying to not break it because it is resin and it's pretty thin because he hollowed it out. So you'll see here, there's some support structures actually still left over. I printed at an angle, around like that angle right there. So yeah, he's got seats and a really basic dashboard and all that stuff. He prints his models with clear resin, so his windshield is actually clear. But I'm too cheap. I haven't bothered to buy clear resin yet. So I also feel like, well, that's basically it. I'm too cheap. So anyways, you'll see all the supports I put in here. There's hundreds of supports to keep this body, from warping and stuff. And it worked out pretty well, I think. But you can see the thickness of the body is only like maybe 3 millimeters, I'm guessing. And so I just painted my windshield black since I just spray painted all this red. Not spray painted, I airbrushed it all red. And then I spray painted acrylic clear coat over that. And then I used acrylic with a paintbrush to do all the little details. Alright, so anyways, it's nice. He's got little mirrors in there and all that stuff. A little exhaust as well. So it's just a friction fit. The one issue with this Pontiac Solstice file that I had a hard time with was, the wheels and the tire are the same piece, but there's no like groove between the wheel and the tire. I can't paint the perfect circle, so I ended up just painting the whole wheel black because I just couldn't get the circle to work correctly. Boy, I'm also trying to figure out how I even got this in here. You'll see the body is trying to, it's hard to get this width through that opening. The dental pick might save the day. Yeah, got that side in. Maybe pull this out a little bit. So he's got fender wheel wells as well. So once it's all together, it does look nice, and there's no glue necessary. But now you're experiencing real time how difficult it is to actually put it together. It was just as difficult putting it together the first time as well. I really don't want to break it, This resin I use is high detail, but it's brittle. It's not a flexible resin. Let me try to put the back in first. No. Let's see, I chipped off some paint there as well. So I'm not going to open up this Ferrari because I like that one a lot more. I'm going to have to come back. This is going to take too long. Figures, right? Took about 3 seconds after. But now I've chipped off some paint here. That's too bad. Oh well. Too lazy to fix it now. Anyways, it's still a pretty cool looking cartoon rendition of a pretty cool sporty little car. Alright, so that's that one. So yeah, the Testarossa is the same format. The wheels and tires are this, and the chassis and the seats are all the same thing. But what's nice about the Testarossa is he chose to actually add a groove. Actually, it's not a groove. It's just that the tire curves in towards the wheel. So there's a little, the tire here is actually lower than the rim of the wheel, so it's a lot easier to paint, you know, that perfectly, or better at least. But again, because I don't have clear resin, I blacked out the windows, and then I painted the seats black on that one. And I get a flashlight. Yeah, so that's the interior, right? Alright, so I like this model a lot more, obviously. It's just a cooler car, and it was a lot easier to paint the wheels, so they're actually silver. Alright, details back there. So very cool. Now these things are air pockets, you know, my resin. That's just a problem with all resin printers. Little air bubbles might get in there. Okay, well anyways, let's take a look at a couple other cartoon cars. Actually, that's spinning too fast. I gotta say, this is a cool drawing. I don't know what that car is, but whoever drew it did a good job. If Dendeba made a 3D file of that, I would definitely download that and print that out. Okay, one other Dendeba I did was this Grand Am. Sadly I dropped it, so the mirror snapped off. This one, the entire thing is a solid print. This is all solid plastic all the way through. I drilled a hole so I could mount, have a toothpick in there while I was painting it. And then again, I don't think there's not much of a groove here, but the tire does curve down a little bit. So I did manage to paint this tire, but it's not a perfect circle. You see right there, it's a little too much black. Did what it could, and then these striations are the layers of plastic. It tried to delaminate. So it's nice that these grooves around the lights, though. Those are much easier to paint when you have grooves. But yeah, big supports on that one. Really thin tires. Still pretty cool. I guess this person really likes Pontiacs. Alright, I do have two other Pontiacs I'll show. This is a choro-q one. It's a weird Firebird. And so you can clearly, well, hopefully I can get the thing to focus on it. It's so chrome and so black. My camera. There we go, finally. You'll see the casting like ends here, and then they glued on like this weird front end. So it's like, this is some other car. This is some other Firebird, and then they made this little piece to stick off the front end of it, right? It's very clownish looking. But this thing is also from, boy, I can't even read the date. 2001, so it's quite old. It just says F-Bird type, so this probably is not a licensed product. And then a really cool one. This is a freebie that came with a can of coffee in Japan. I think it was Kirin. Doesn't say what can of coffee brand it was, but I think it's a Kirin collection. So it's a 72 Firebird, and it's got a lot of great details. Textures, paint on all the lights, the flame job. The wheels look pretty vintage. Right? I didn't modify this at all. This came exactly the way you see it. So really cool for a freebie. But you'll see how small it is, like how low it is. It's a different type of deformation. The overall footprint is very similar, but it's just a really low-slung cartoon car. Anyway, it's really cool. Alright, so that's going to have to do for the Pontiacs. I don't have room for those. Let's get some Ferraris out here. These are all going to be choro-qs. So there's a choro-q 0 of a 250 GTO. That's a cool one with the racing livery. A little forward in time, I guess, would be the Ferrari F40. Let's get this out for now. I believe these may have been sold at the same time. Am I right? I think somewhere in the mid-80s, late 80s. Then I think the 355 came out later in time. So these are all choro-q 0s. And the last one is the F50. So the footprint is generally the same. I didn't scale these at all. These are the files that I downloaded from the website. You'll notice his deformation is a little bit different though. His roof is far lower than a choro-q. I think I like it though. It's a much sleeker looking cartoon. I mean, it's strange to say these sentences, but anyways. Okay. Alright, let's get these guys spinning on their own. So his latest one, last week or a little over a week ago, is this Stepwagon Spada. I don't know if I like it enough to want to download it. He's using Blender to make these things. He actually shows you how to do it, which is really cool. I tried using Blender once, it's just not my thing. I can only learn so many CAD programs. Alright, well anyways. So, another nice duo here from Dendeba. I'm glad to see that this person is still making new models for everyone to enjoy for free. It's really cool. And eventually I'll download some more. Unfortunately, it just takes time to make these things. Printing these takes several hours, and then the painting takes a few days when you have to wait for paint to dry. So that's kind of why I haven't downloaded everything. It's just too time consuming. But they do look cool, so if you don't have a 3D printer, I suggest you get one. And if you get one and you like cars, definitely check out this guy's channel, because again, he makes realistic models as well. Alright, thanks for watching today. I'll see you guys. Tune it out.